Thank you. To formally welcome you all and to set the tone for today's proceedings, it is now my pleasure to invite Mr. Shamsu Singh, President of CA Lanka, to deliver the welcome address.
Vice President, Ms. Anojiti Silva, CEO of Colombo Stock Exchange, Ms. Rajiv Bandaranaike, all the distinguished officers representing Colombo Stock Exchange and Securities Exchange Commission, company chairperson, other representatives, members of the council, past presidents, CEO Lakmali, all distinguished personalities from the media. Thank you. You have been with us throughout. And ladies and gentlemen. So before I get into my speech, let me welcome each and every one of you for this occasion. And we do really appreciate and thankful for your presence here today. And before I really enter into the core subject, let me tell you a story, a personal story. I call it perhaps the story of a son of a SME entrepreneur. That story is little known to one person here. I have my school friend Mr. Arosh Adianath representing NTB. Some of the things he may know. But then this is connected to what we are going to do. Therefore, it's relevant. Let me share. So, ladies and gentlemen, soon after my A-level, on the 14th of October 1995, I did my A-level August 1995, my father passed away. Perhaps after 1.5 months of completing the examinations. And he was an entrepreneur. He was a SME entrepreneur. Even before his expiration, whenever he had fallen sick, he was heart patient, I had to run the business. First time I was, I think, 15 years, being the only son in the family. My sister was so small, we have age gap for about 8 years. And my mother happened to be a housewife. So I used to run the business in his absence. He used to give me instructions every day. And I have cut school many times because of that. Sometimes a prolonged period of 2 to 3 months. And I could remember when I was doing O-level, school principal in fact, did not allow me to take the examinations, saying that I had I haven't attended school many days. Then I did it somehow privately and carried on. So what I am trying to tell is, in this context, I have some experience as to how SMEs run. So overnight, I had to take over a business. My father was into coir-related products. He was running fiber mills, coir twine factory, and he had a movie theater also. And overnight, here I was left with 260 odd employees, no access to bank accounts. It was because it was a sole proprietorship. Mother was a housewife. I didn't know even how to draw a check those days. But then, and then he had signed contracts with companies like Jaberji, Riley's, Haley's, Fiber Sector, Ravi Industries. I could remember MacBooks. Those days I used to, deal with them later on. And then at a very early stage, for about 2 years, I had the knack of running a SME enterprise, and where I learned a lot. I think perhaps 10 MBA worth of knowledge, maybe more than that, all hands-on experience. I didn't have any option. had many sleepless nights during the first year. So then, because now when it comes to fiber sector, you may know there are many bankers. Every Wednesday we have to pay an advance. Then Saturday the wage. So cash flow is required. If not, those people couldn't live. They couldn't send their children to school. Then and my father was left out with a huge debt burden, right? Negotiate, and one time our ancestral home was like about to get auction. But I must tell you, that time we mainly dealt with two banks. They really supported, helped understanding the situation. So they never proceeded with the auctioning. But then I don't want to explain how we came out of that, how we negotiated, because this one thing, these companies, they used to pay my father uh, once a month for all the fiber and wire related products. So first thing I did, I went and explained and negotiated to get the payment within 1 week of supplying of the goods, which really gave me the cash flow because we had to open new bank accounts. That was the first thing, right? And then finally it was turned around also, but then we had to dispose some properties. Luckily, we had some, but then we managed to overcome the situation. So during this process, you know, this experience also would have helped us to conceptualize what we are going to do. I will explain. Uh, and ladies and gentlemen, even after that, during my professional career, what I have learned, these SMEs have many problems, but then out of that, there are two, three fundamental issues that we need to really address for the SME sector to grow. Right? And as you know, when an enterprise is started, you have the startup stage, then you have the survival stage, then you have the success stage, then you have the takeoff stage, and then you come to kind of maturity, at which point diversification may be required. But then our SMEs, they are largely dependent on bank or finance company financing. I could remember uh, soon after the seventh day Almsgiving, one of our lorries was seized by a finance company. What had happened? Someone had sent the obituary notice to the finance company, knowing it was the sole proprietorship, immediately seized. And I came to that finance company. That time the head office was located at Barnes Place. I don't want to mention. They were not flexible. The banks were flexible. That company, I met the managing director also, not flexible. We had to make arrangements. And now, when SME is heavily dependent on bank or financing by financial institutions, it would be very difficult for them to absorb shocks. And ladies and gentlemen, you know better than me, if you take from 2019 Easter attack, even before that, the sort of shocks that the SME sector had to absorb. And whenever they had problems, there's this blame game. Okay, banks are also, basically dependent on depositors' funding. There's a regulatory framework within which I'm also a director of a bank. I very well understand. Now I understand the side of the SME. I also understand the side of the banks also. And there are KPIs that been set, regulatory framework, compliance. In that context, there need to be alternative arrangements for the SME sector to grow. And it's good for the banking industry also. This is to support the growth phase and beyond of the SME entrepreneurs. So in that context, ladies and gentlemen, uh, the way to go, we believe, there's private equity, venture capital, but I don't know to what extent it's been operated successfully. And we are going to now tie up with another party to promote private equity also, because uh, for SME to go for a listing, it will take time. Minimum, 2 to 3 years. Right? I serve on board of a company who had rushed for a listing, and then when it comes to compliance issues, you are very new. First of all, the platform needs to be set to go for a listing. So they are, from so during this intermediate period, perhaps a SME entrepreneur can look at private equity, and with the listing on the Colombo Stock Exchange, maybe Empower Board, Irsa Board at the beginning, uh, the private equity holders can have the exit. So this awareness needs to be created, and also really these entrepreneurs, they most of them they don't know based on which criteria their credits being evaluated, their credit worthiness being evaluated. In that context, we have developed this last year. In fact, my predecessor, Asiana, he wanted me to lead this particular task force. So we developed this framework, creditworthiness rating framework for SME. So what we did, ladies and gentlemen, we have spoken to several banks. We studied their credit evaluation framework, and we developed a unique one. Right? But though we published this, we couldn't have a formal launch. That's why we are launching this today. So this includes, areas such as business profile, industry and market conditions, financial factors, management quality relationship with banks, legal and regulatory compliance, overall rating of free, consistent payment of taxes. So if there are no quick reports, then we have other alternative ways to evaluate also. Strength of the business model plus credit, bank guarantee or collateral. So we are looking at all these things, then finally arriving at a score. And here uh, we have given due weight to the tax payment history also. So we believe, now it's a common allegation that we get. Sometimes these entrepreneurs, they maintain 2, 3 sets of books of accounts. So what happens when our practitioners they do the audit, we get a declaration, call it a letter of representation as to the completeness of number of bank accounts. If someone wants to really defraud the auditor or to conceal facts to auditors, can maintain separate bank accounts and hide part of the revenue. But I believe if uh, the banking community can reject all other accounts but the audited accounts for 2 years, this discipline will be able to brought in to the system. And also if due consideration being given for continued payment of taxes. But at the moment, I don't think tax payment is to be really looked at with the adequate weightage. And if these two things can be done for 2 years, I'm sure that we'll be able to widen the tax base, plus we'll be able to increase the tax revenue also by getting the relevant parties to declare the income completely, which should bring down the tax burden on the rest of us. I believe it's prudent to introduce a tax rate for the SME sector based on a criteria. Now we have a criteria, Anuj will explain. So below 20 million micro, one can be taken as one slab, then 20 to 300 million, small size entities, 300 million to 1 billion, mid size entities over 1 billion. Right? So whatever the reduced tax revenue can be enhanced with proper tax declaration, income declaration with proper audited accounts. The balance they'll be able to, the revenue authorities will be able to catch up, and this will bring down the tax burden to a certain extent on all of us. This is something to think of. So now I could remember when I was running the business, we used to get invitations from ISB, Industrial Service Bureau of Kumnagar. Then there was this entity called SMED, Small and Medium Size Development Bureau, right? And what I noted, they used to get funding from various agencies and organize programs. I could remember in one program, Mr. Deepal Surya, those days, I was doing O-level that time. My father said, he did a nice program on marketing and branding. I attended. He advised me strictly that way, okay, before getting into business, you complete your study. I didn't know that my father was sick that time. But then there was no continuity. So what happens? Okay, you get a funding allocation from ADB or World Bank or some agency. So 1 or 2 years you run programs across the country, then that's it. No continued engagement. I don't think that it should be an effective way to get the SMEs engaged and to go for a KPI driven target. So what we are going to do, ladies and gentlemen, in this context, we are going to introduce the award ceremony, SME Connect Awards. The evaluation criteria would be based on this, right? And we'll be carrying out workshops along with the Colombo Stock Exchange. They have come on board. I must really appreciate. They were really taken up our concept positively and came on board to carry it out as a joint project. So this award seminar, you know, ladies and gentlemen, we are conducting this tax awards for the 61st year this time. Perhaps the longest award ceremony, I don't know, I can't, to my knowledge. And we have pretty much got the required expertise in running award ceremonies. So we are going to introduce this particular award ceremony from next year onwards. Leading to that, across the country, we'll be organizing workshops. The workshops will be based on the criteria set here. This includes the whole package, you know, introducing robust importance of introducing robust financial reporting, then succession planning, the business model, and the management team, all these things. Everything cannot be done. That's why I said it's a process. So to ensure the process, through the vote ceremony, we'll be having continued engagement with these SMEs. So every year on year, we want to see improvement through the company. After the award ceremony, we will be issuing a judges report, and if required, we be conducting workshops. That will ensure that we have continued uh, engagement, involvement with the identified in SMEs. So in selecting the SMEs, we would like to select those medium scale entities who would have the potential to go for listing after 2 or 3 years, right? And after, from the second year onwards, we have set a KPI. The KPI is number of entities that would have initiated discussions and gone for listing on the Colombo Stock Exchange, Empower Digital or main board. That would be a KPI from the second year onwards. If we can't attract or reach the KPI, there's no point in continuing the award ceremony also. So it's a clearly defined, identifiable KPI. That's what we want to do. So today, along with the SME Connect logo launch, we are also launching this framework which was developed last year. Then SME Connect Awards. Then the Entrepreneur magazine, which would also be translated to first Sinhala and later on Tamil also based on the demand. Uh, and I have mentioned about the workshops across the country, and connecting to this through our business school, we'll be introducing a diploma program on small and medium sized enterprise management, mainly focusing outstation SMEs. Yeah. So this entrepreneur magazine uh, will be used to share success stories of the entrepreneurs and also to give some valuable information, perhaps on the streams of taxation, financial management, cash flow management, etc. That's the whole objective, and the chairperson of the SME Connect Committee is my Vice President Anoj. So this became kind of a pet project which I really wanted to implement. So we have entrusted with Anoji and alternate chairman Mr. Saman Sriram. I have noted both of them, both Anoji and Saman, put their heart into this. They are passionate about this, and it resulted in coming up with the whole program this soon. Thank you, Anoji. Thank you, Saman, and your team for all your efforts, including the staff members. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. I again thank the Colombo Stock Exchange for coming on board. This is a worthy cause to spend time and our resources. Let us evaluate the outcome after 2 years, to what extent we have got successful. I have noted that first two workshops being scheduled, first one in Monoraga, other one in Batikalo, right? And looking forward to your support also, particularly in terms of nominating those companies with the potential to go for listing for the award ceremony or the workshop, and it will really give results. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your presence here today.
Thank you, sir, for the inspiring welcome address. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my privilege to invite Mr. Rajiv Bandar Naikar, Chief Executive Officer of the Colombo Stock Exchange, to address the gathering.
Good evening, members, President and members of CS Sri Lanka, Commission members and officials of the SCC, my colleagues at the CSC, distinguished invitees and members of the media. At the very outset, I must congratulate CS Sri Lanka for this very forward-thinking initiative in conceptualizing under the able leadership of people like Shishan, Nozi, Saman, etc., and your leadership team to launch the SME Creditworthiness and Rating Framework, and also, as we heard, the SME Connect the World. So we are extremely pleased to partner CS Sri Lanka on this SME capacity building initiative, and as we heard, we already have signed up to conduct workshops around the country on a regional basis. I think this initiative goes well beyond mere workshops, as we heard. While the workshops will provide a platform by which we can reach out to SMEs, it has a far more noble goal. This will also serve as a national platform to recognize, to rate, and to raise Sri Lanka's SME sector, addressing their issues that they have of visibility, of recognition, and the financial credibility that they so very richly deserve. I think this initiative will also aim to strengthen the financial discipline, governance, and creditworthiness of SMEs around the country, thereby helping them and supporting them in their growth, sustainability, and more importantly, access to capital. I believe that the proposed program led by CS Sri Lanka, apart from the workshops as well, will see active participation from many actors such as banking professionals, financial practitioners, financial institutions, and the entire ecosystem of stakeholders which we see represented today. This partnership, I think, aligns very well with our strategic objective of broadening the issuer base, particularly in enhancing SME readiness for capital market access. As we saw, we launched the Empower Board specifically targeting SMEs a few years back, and the SCC chair at that time is here with us today. And if you remember, Mr. Jayasinha, we met on Saturday morning, I think, around the table at SCC, and we coined this phrase of empower, giving it a name as well. So from that time onwards, we have been very actively pushing and encouraging SMEs to come on board to public markets, and I think this initiative really will be a catalyst in that direction. We believe that when we talk about capital market access, we can through this initiative promote awareness of listing avenues such as the Empower Board. We can also support the development of developing a pipeline of SME companies that could be listed in the future. We can also strengthen the engagement of SMEs, financial institutions, of course, and the capital market. And through this active collaboration, the CSC, we will be able to position ourselves as a key enabler of SME growth and capital market access as well. We will also be able to conduct the much needed awareness sessions on listing opportunities about capital raising and provide the opportunity to engage with SMEs directly right across the country, and but better way than to start in going to regions such as Monoragala and Batiklo. Overall, I think we can contribute to improving investor awareness in overall improving market depth and participation in the market. I further believe that this initiative will also help to demystify the corporate funding ladder, challenging the status quo. Most entrepreneurs, as we know, view traditional bank debt as their sole or major source of capital. So it will provide an opportunity to explain credit vulnerabilities, over-reliance on debt, exposing small firms to volatile interest rates and very stringent collateral demands. And then we can also introduce this funding ladder. Firms to scale from seed capital to private equity to corporate debt, and then finally progress on to a public listing. In closing, I would also like to say that this initiative reiterates CSC's commitment to entrepreneurship, financial literacy, and of course, long-term regional development. And we all need to work collaboratively to build a robust, predictable pipeline of investment-ready enterprises. And I think we all have a responsibility to dismantle the accounting transparency barriers that are actually holding back our country's innovators. So today's successful visionary SMEs will be tomorrow's listed corporate champions. So let us empower the next generation of Sri Lankan discussers to scale, succeed, and lead. I wish this entire initiative on behalf of the Stock Exchange all success, and CS Sri Lanka will have fullest support going forward in this initiative. Congratulations once again, and thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, the moment we've all been waiting for, the official launch of the CA SME Connect, SME Creditworthiness Rating Framework, SME Connect Awards, and the Entrepreneur e-magazine. For the official launch, I cordially invite the following dignitaries to please come forward and grace this occasion. Mr. Nishan Singh, President of CA Sri Lanka, Ms. Anuji Silva, Vice President of CA Sri Lanka and Chairperson of the CA SME Connect Committee, Mr. Saman Srila, Council Member and Alternate Chairman of the CA SME Connect Committee of CA Sri Lanka, Mr. Rajiv Bandaranaike, Chief Executive Officer of the Colombo Stock Exchange, and Ms. Lakmani Priyanika, Chief Executive Officer of CA Sri Lanka. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together as we officially mark this milestone achievement. The official launch is the SME Connect, SME Creditworthiness Rating Framework, SME Connect Awards, and the Entrepreneur e-Magazine. Thank you, Mrs. Prasinga, and to our dignitaries for gracing this occasion. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now play a short introduction video on the SME Creditworthiness Rating Framework and SME Connect Awards. And I kindly request all of you to please redirect your attention to the screens. Thank you.
Small and medium enterprises are the backbone of Sri Lanka's economy. They contribute 52% of GDP and 45% of national employment. SMEs create jobs, drive innovation, and fuel national growth. But too many struggle to grow, sustain, and scale. Commercial viability, scalability, and sustainability, these remain elusive. Accessing finance, building governance, securing long-term success, the challenges are real and they are pressing. Recognizing this gap, CA Sri Lanka took decisive steps to close it by helping build sustainable, creditworthy businesses for the future. Our mission is to improve sustainable business practices, raise financial literacy, and strengthen creditworthiness. Our goal is to empower SMEs to grow beyond borders and unlock new opportunities through listing on the Colombo Stock Exchange. In this important national endeavor, we are proud to partner with the CSE to support the next phase of SME growth. At the heart of this initiative is the SME Creditworthiness Rating Framework, a practical initiative by CA Sri Lanka designed to help SMEs strengthen transparency, financial discipline, and business credibility, paving the way for sustainable long-term growth. Building on this vision, CA Sri Lanka is also proud to launch the SME Connect Awards, recognizing and celebrating sustainable, creditworthy entrepreneurial excellence across the country. Because Sri Lanka's SMEs deserve more than survival. They deserve the opportunity to grow, compete, and thrive. CA Sri Lanka, helping SMEs thrive beyond borders.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now display a QR code on the screens. This QR code, once scanned, will take you to the Entrepreneur e-Magazine. And just to give you a brief introduction about the e-Magazine, this magazine brings together stories, insights, and technical perspectives from across CA Sri Lanka and the wide SME community. Built to make knowledge sharing more accessible, it helps readers stay informed, stay connected, and stay engaged with the evolving world of the SME. May I kindly request all of you to please redirect your attention back to the screens where a short video will be played on the newly launched Entrepreneur e-Magazine. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Gavin Baker. I'm chairman of the facility. We started our company in 2007, maybe 17, 18 years ago, as a small startup company. By profession, I'm a medical doctor, but I thought to do something for different in my life. Initially, I feel I have sort of the leadership, something what we can do better in my life. So therefore, I identified, there's a good opportunity to sell Sri Lankan tea, offer Sri Lankan tea to the global market. So I took the challenge and thinking about, as a small company, startup company, maybe we have, we don't have much budgets or something like that. And we create a small brand, giving like a creative packaging, good quality tea, and cater the niche market. We enjoyed our success up to date. In 2007, when we started our company, we started with very few people, and offering to the global market is a big challenge, because we don't have much of the marketing knowledge. Being the professional medical doctor coming to this industry, it's a big challenge for us. And somehow we managed to create a lot of creative design and the quality tea, what we offer to the world. And it became a very success story because of, and people accept our concepts, designing, innovative idea, creativity, and we move forward within a very short time, global, as a global brand. Starting the business is not very easy. In the beginning, we face a lot of issues, how to get into the different markets. Usually, in the global market, taste and the designs or ideas what we create, it's very challenging. But somehow, within a very short time, we managed to catch up the global market. In the beginning, we faced a lot of challenges. Once again, we were in the finding capital to run the business and sources, not all the banks are not supported because when we are starting this business. But we had the marketing part, and we need a lot of money. Initial stage, unknown brand, to export to the world. We always try to start up with very few people to limit for the 4 days. So I think from the day one, some people are still us. Maybe last 17 years they are working with me for a long time, mostly we are running like a small family business. In the beginning, we had only a few people, like 3-4 people. Right now, we are having about 350 people. But still, so we are trying to maintain like a family concept in our organization. That's helped me to bring that brand up to date. Today, we are catering about 65 countries globally, and day by day we are adding some more countries. That is our task. We like a more value-added team leading company in Sri Lanka. So this is not a very easy task. A lot of competition we are facing, but we don't want to be a very large quantity volume like that. We want to be like a more value-added company and bring the more value to our tea producers.
I hope that can be helped in future of Sri Lankan tea industry. I mean, for all the exporters, I think if we are focusing in that manner, we can be a success in future. As a bachelor, we are focusing mainly in four factors. Number one is a financial discipline. Number two, quality. Number three is like new product development and innovations and market research. Number four, our people. So I trust, my people make us to be who we are today. That's a main success story behind the lesson. Developing a brand is not very easy. It's like a big vision what we made in the beginning. We don't want to just sell the team. We want to give some more value for our team, consumers. That is the one of the success factor investment. To be in that segment is not very easy. You have to be always be creative, innovative, and you can trust with our consumer. Businesses face problems every day, challenges, depend on the global economic factors. Sometimes it's not depending on our capabilities, but local sometimes issues. But business can't stop, and we have to always move forward because always we are having behind us our responsibility, people. Yeah. So therefore, we have to think future very brightly. Sometimes you have to take crisis situation as opportunity. In past investment, we always use it sometimes crisis situation as opportunity, and we are always successful. Sustainable businesses are built over decades, not years. For beginners, my advice when you are starting a company, you should have a financial discipline. That is the number one for success in the company. If you borrow or unnecessary expenditures, you have to work thoroughly with your overheads. Then it's make your life easier, I hope. In life, you may come from a different popular backgrounds, but in business, it doesn't matter. Work hard, stay patient, protect your integrity, and always remember your reputation is most valuable asset. In conclusion, think long term, invest in people, maintain the financial discipline, build the trust, and keep developing ideas. My success not only my success. Your success for the community, economy, and people. A lot of people can benefit if you are success. I wish you all the very best to new entrepreneurs who is starting up. I wish you all the very best. SME Secretariat of one of the
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now move on to the press conference of this evening. May I kindly invite the following dignitaries to please come forward and take their respective seats on the stage. Mr. Nishan Singh, President of CA Sri Lanka, Ms. Anjali Silva, Vice President and Chairperson of the SME Committee of CA Sri Lanka, Mr. Saman Srila, Council Member and Alternate Chairman of the SME Committee of CA Sri Lanka, Mr. Rajiv Bandaranaike, Chief Executive Officer of the Colombo Stock Exchange, and Ms. Nakmali Lanka, Chief Executive Officer of CA Sri Lanka.